In the heart of an ancient African village nestled between vast savannas and towering baobab trees, life flowed with the rhythm of the earth. The villagers lived in harmony with nature, their days punctuated by the rising and setting sun, the seasons, and the cycle of birth and death. It was a place where traditions were upheld and stories from the past guided the future. Among the villagers, there was a woman named Abeni. She was known for her beauty, wisdom, and mysterious aura that seemed to draw people to her. But Abeni was not just any woman. She was a healer, a seer, and a keeper of ancient secrets passed down through generations. Her presence was both revered and feared, for it was said she possessed powers beyond ordinary understanding. One fateful day, the tranquility of the village was shattered. Men began to fall ill, their strength waning, and a strange malaise spread through the male population. It was as if their very essence, their manhood, was being stolen from them. The elders were baffled, the healers' remedies proved ineffective, and the fear of a curse began to grip the community. Whispers started to circulate, pointing fingers at Abeni. She had always been different, an enigma, and now her otherworldly nature was seen as a threat. Rumors grew that she had stolen the manhoods of the men, using dark magic to sap their vitality for her own gain. The once respected healer was now viewed with suspicion and dread. The village council, comprised of the eldest and wisest members, convened to discuss the growing crisis. They knew that if they did not act quickly, the village's future would be in jeopardy. The council was divided. Some believed Abeni was innocent, while others were convinced of her guilt. Amidst the chaos, a young warrior named Kofi stepped forward. He had always admired Abeni from afar, captivated by her grace and wisdom. Kofi believed in her innocence and vowed to uncover the truth. He sought permission from the council to investigate the mysterious ailment and prove that Abeni was not the cause. Reluctantly, the council agreed, giving Kofi 7 days to find evidence to exonerate Abeni or prove her guilt. With determination burning in his eyes, Kofi began his quest. He visited the afflicted men, studying their symptoms and seeking patterns. He consulted with other healers and even ventured into the dense forest to seek guidance from the spirits. As the days passed, Kofi discovered clues that pointed towards a darker, more sinister force at work. He learned of an ancient legend about a spirit that fed on the essence of men, a vengeful entity that had been banished long ago. The spirit's return would explain the strange affliction and the loss of manhood among the villagers. Kofi also found evidence that someone had been performing forbidden rituals, attempting to summon this dark spirit. The pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place, revealing a web of deceit and betrayal. The true culprit was not Abeni, but someone who had used her as a scapegoat to divert attention from their own malevolent actions. With the final day of his investigation approaching, Kofi gathered the village council and presented his findings. He revealed the true nature of the curse and the identity of the real perpetrator. The council was shocked, but the evidence was irrefutable. Abeni was cleared of all suspicion, and the real villain was brought to justice. The village celebrated Kofi's bravery and Abeni's exoneration. The men began to recover, their strength returning as the curse was lifted. Abeni, though scarred by the ordeal, continued her work as a healer, her reputation restored. She and Kofi developed a deep bond, forged through adversity and mutual respect. Life in the village returned to its harmonious rhythm, but the tale of the stolen manhoods became a legend, a cautionary story about the dangers of jealousy, deceit, and the misuse of power. And so, the story was passed down through generations, a reminder of the strength of truth and the importance of seeking justice. The village had begun to heal, but the shadow of recent events lingered. Kofi, now a trusted hero, continued to watch over his people with a vigilant eye. He knew that the peace they enjoyed was fragile and that unseen threats could still lurk in the corners of their world. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the savannah, Kofi sat with Abeni outside her hut. The flickering light of the fire illuminated their faces, and the air was filled with the scent of burning wood and the distant sounds of night creatures stirring. "Kofi," Abeni began, her voice a soft murmur, "the spirit we vanquished was but one of many. There are other forces at play, ancient and restless." Kofi nodded, his gaze steady. "I feel it too. The village may be safe for now, but we must remain vigilant. Tell me, Abeni, what do you see in the flames tonight?" Abeni leaned closer to the fire, her eyes reflecting the dancing flames. She began to chant softly, her words blending with the crackling of the wood. Images started to form in the fire, a forest, a river, and a cave shrouded in darkness. "There is a place," she said, her voice distant as if she was speaking from another realm, "a place of great power and danger, the Cave of Echoes. It is said to be the dwelling of spirits both benevolent and malevolent. If we are to truly secure the safety of our village, we must seek out this place and understand its secrets." Kofi listened intently, the gravity of her words sinking in. "Then we must prepare," he said, determination etched into his features. "We leave at first light." As dawn broke, Kofi and Abeni set out, leaving the village behind. They moved swiftly through the savannah, their footsteps silent and purposeful. The journey was arduous, the landscape shifting from open plains to dense forests. The air grew cooler as they approached the river Abeni had seen in her vision. The river was wide and swift, its waters dark and mysterious. They found a narrow crossing and waded through, the cold water lapping at their legs. On the other side, the forest grew thicker, the canopy overhead blocking out much of the sunlight. They walked for hours, guided by Abeni's intuition and the occasional sign, a broken branch, a disturbed patch of earth, that indicated they were on the right path. As evening approached, they reached the entrance of the Cave of Echoes. The cave loomed before them, its mouth a yawning chasm in the rock. Abeni whispered a prayer, invoking the protection of the ancestors. Together, they stepped into the darkness, their torches casting long, wavering shadows on the walls. Inside, the cave was a labyrinth of tunnels and chambers. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and ancient stone. Their footsteps echoed eerily, and the flickering light of their torches revealed strange markings on the walls, symbols and pictographs from a time long forgotten. Deeper they ventured, the oppressive silence broken only by the occasional drip of water from the stalactites above. Suddenly, they heard a low, resonant hum, a sound that seemed to come from the very heart of the cave. They followed the sound to a vast chamber, its ceiling lost in darkness. In the center of the chamber stood an altar, ancient and worn, surrounded by a circle of stones. The hum grew louder, vibrating through the air. Abeni approached the altar, her eyes wide with awe and fear. "This is the source," she whispered, "the place where the spirits converge." Kofi stepped forward, placing his hand on her shoulder. "What must we do?" he asked. Abeni closed her eyes, her face serene and resolute. "We must commune with the spirits, seek their guidance and their blessing. Only then can we ensure the safety of our people." They knelt together before the altar, their voices rising in a harmonious chant. The air around them shimmered, and the hum became a chorus of voices, ancient and powerful. The spirits had awakened, and their presence was palpable. As the chant reached its crescendo, the chamber was filled with a blinding light. Kofi and Abeni felt a surge of energy, a connection to something vast and timeless. The spirits spoke, their voices a symphony of wisdom and power. When the light faded, they found themselves back at the entrance of the cave, the knowledge of the spirits imprinted in their minds. They had been given a gift, a deeper understanding of the forces that shaped their world and the means to protect their village from future threats. Without a word, they began their journey home, their hearts filled with hope and determination. The village awaited, and with it, the promise of a brighter future. The village buzzed with anticipation upon Kofi and Abeni's return. They brought with them an air of mystery, their silence about the cave's revelations leaving the villagers curious yet respectful. As night fell, Abeni gathered the elders in the sacred circle beneath the ancient baobab tree. The flickering firelight cast eerie shadows, creating an atmosphere of solemnity. Abeni began to speak, her voice calm and steady. "The spirits have bestowed upon us knowledge and protection," she said, "but we must act wisely. There is one among us who harbors ill intentions, a hidden adversary who seeks to disrupt our peace." Gasps of shock rippled through the circle. The elders exchanged worried glances, their minds racing with suspicion. Kofi stepped forward, his presence commanding attention. "We must remain united," he urged. "Our strength lies in our community. Together, we will uncover this adversary and protect our home." Days passed, with a heightened sense of vigilance. Abeni and Kofi discreetly observed the villagers, searching for any signs of deceit. They relied on subtle cues, nuances in behavior that could reveal hidden malice. One evening, While watching the village from a concealed vantage point, Kofi noticed a figure slipping away from the huts and heading toward the forest. He motioned to Abeni, and they followed quietly, their footsteps muffled by the thick underbrush. The figure led them to a secluded clearing where a small flickering fire illuminated a sinister ritual. An old man, known to the villagers as kindly and unassuming, chanted incantations, drawing dark symbols in the air. Abeni's eyes widened in recognition. "This is the one," she whispered. "He seeks to summon the spirit of chaos, the one who once plagued our village." Kofi and Abeni stepped into the clearing, their presence startling the old man. He turned, his face twisted with malevolent intent. "You should not have come," he hissed. Kofi advanced, his voice firm. "Your treachery ends here. The spirits have warned us of your plans. Surrender, and perhaps you will find mercy." The old man laughed, a harsh, grating sound. "Fools! You cannot stop what has already begun." He raised his hands, and a dark wind swirled around him. The air crackled with energy as the spirit of chaos began to materialize. Abeni and Kofi braced themselves, drawing upon the strength of the protective rituals they had learned. Abeni stepped forward, her voice rising in a powerful incantation that countered the old man's spell. The dark wind faltered, and the spirit's form wavered. Kofi seized the moment, charging forward and knocking the old man to the ground. The dark energy dissipated, leaving only the faint echoes of its presence. Bound and subdued, the old man was brought back to the village. The elders convened once more, and with heavy hearts they decided his fate. He was to be exiled, banished from the community he had betrayed. The village returned to its rhythm, but the lesson remained. Vigilance and unity were paramount. Abeni and Kofi, now more revered than ever, continued to protect and guide their people, their bond growing stronger with each passing day. Without fanfare, they resumed their lives, always alert, always ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, knowing that together they could overcome any darkness that threatened their home. Abeni and Kofi found themselves in a new rhythm, the village thriving under their watchful care. One evening, as the moon cast a silver glow over the village, a messenger arrived, breathless and urgent. "Abeni, Kofi," he gasped, "a nearby village is under attack by a band of marauders. They need our help." Without hesitation, they gathered the strongest warriors and set out, their determination mirrored in every face. As they approached the embattled village, they could hear the distant sounds of conflict, the clash of weapons, and the cries of the beleaguered villagers. Leading the charge, Kofi and Abeni moved with precision and purpose. Kofi's spear struck true, and Abeni's healing hands provided strength to the wounded. The marauders, taken by surprise by the swift and fierce resistance, began to falter. In the chaos, Kofi spotted the leader of the marauders, a towering figure with a cruel sneer. Recognizing the source of the turmoil, he pushed through the fray, engaging the leader in a fierce battle. The clash of their weapons echoed through the village, each strike filled with intent and power. Meanwhile, Abeni coordinated the defense, her strategic mind guiding the warriors to protect the vulnerable and outmaneuver the attackers. Her presence was a beacon of hope, and the villagers rallied around her, fighting with renewed vigor. With a final decisive blow, Kofi disarmed the marauder leader, who fell to the ground, defeated. Seeing their leader vanquished, the remaining marauders scattered, retreating into the darkness. The village erupted in cheers, their relief palpable. Abeni and Kofi helped the villagers rebuild, offering aid and comfort. The bond between the two villages strengthened, creating a united front against future threats. They shared stories, wisdom, and resources, fostering a spirit of solidarity and resilience. As dawn broke, the village stood restored, its people weary but triumphant. Abeni and Kofi, having fulfilled their duty, quietly returned to their own village, their hearts lightened by the knowledge that they had once again safeguarded the harmony and well-being of their people. Back in their village, life resumed its familiar cadence. One morning, a strange event disrupted the peaceful routine. A young boy stumbled into the village square, clutching a strange artifact, an ancient mask, intricately carved and exuding an eerie energy. Abeni examined the mask, her brow furrowed. "This is a relic from the past," she murmured, "its power not to be underestimated." The elders gathered, concerned murmurs filling the air. Kofi, sensing the unease, addressed the crowd. "We must understand the origins and purpose of this artifact. It could be a gift or a threat." Abeni agreed. "There is an old sage who lives by the river. His wisdom is unmatched. We should seek his counsel." They made their way to the sage's dwelling, a humble hut surrounded by ancient trees. The sage welcomed them with a knowing smile, his eyes twinkling with curiosity. Abeni presented the mask, and the sage studied it carefully. "This mask," he began, "belongs to a powerful spirit, one that can either protect or destroy. It was lost many generations ago, and its reappearance signals a great change." Kofi's eyes narrowed. "What must we do to harness its power for good?" The sage's gaze was grave. "You must perform a ritual at the sacred grove under the full moon. Only then can the spirit be appeased and its power directed." The full moon was 2 nights away. Preparations began immediately. The village worked together, gathering the necessary elements for the ritual: herbs, sacred stones, and offerings to the spirit. On the appointed night, the villagers assembled at the sacred grove. The air was thick with anticipation, the moon casting a silvery glow on the clearing. Abeni led the ritual, her voice strong and clear as she chanted the ancient incantations. Kofi stood guard, his eyes scanning the perimeter for any signs of danger. As the ritual progressed, the mask began to glow, pulsing with an otherworldly light. The ground trembled, and a spectral figure emerged from the mask, towering and majestic. The villagers gasped, awestruck and fearful. Abeni stepped forward, addressing the spirit with respect. "We seek your guidance and protection, Great One. Help us to safeguard our home and honor your legacy." The spirit's voice echoed through the grove. "Your hearts are pure, your intentions noble. I will grant you my protection, but be warned, with great power comes great responsibility." With those words, the spirit vanished, leaving the mask imbued with a gentle, protective glow. The villagers exhaled, their tension melting into relief. The ritual had been successful. Returning to their village, Abeni and Kofi placed the mask in a place of honor, a symbol of their newfound alliance with the spirit. The village thrived under its protection, and the people lived with a renewed sense of purpose and unity. Though challenges would come and go, the bond forged that night in the sacred grove remained a source of strength and resilience, guiding the village through both darkness and light. The days that followed were filled with a calm sense of security, the mask's presence a constant reminder of the village's newfound strength. However, as the seasons changed, a new threat emerged. Crops began to wither, and the river, once abundant, started to dry up. The village faced the looming shadow of famine. Kofi and Abeni met with the elders to discuss the dire situation. The council debated various solutions, but Abeni suggested seeking the wisdom of the forest spirits, known for their deep connection to the land. These spirits, elusive and ancient, were said to reside in the heart of the forest, where the trees were tallest and the air was thick with magic. Determined, Abeni and Kofi ventured into the forest. They moved silently through the dense foliage, attuned to the whispers of the leaves and the rustling of unseen creatures. Deep within the forest, they reached a glade where the sunlight barely penetrated, casting an ethereal glow. Abeni called out to the spirits, her voice a melodic plea for aid. Moments later, the air shimmered, and the forest spirits appeared, wispy, ethereal beings with eyes that glowed like stars. "Why have you come?" one spirit asked, its voice like the rustle of leaves. "Our village is suffering," Abeni explained. "The crops fail and the river dwindles. We seek your guidance to restore balance." The spirits conferred among themselves, their voices blending into a harmonious murmur. Finally, the leading spirit spoke. "The land suffers because of an imbalance, a disruption in the natural order. To restore it, you must undertake a task. Retrieve the heartstone from the mountain's peak. It will rekindle the life force of the earth and water." Kofi nodded resolutely. "We will do what is necessary." The spirits guided them to a hidden path leading to the mountain. The climb was steep and treacherous, the air growing thin as they ascended. Yet their determination did not waver. At the summit, they discovered the heartstone, a luminous gem pulsating with a soft, warm light. Carefully, Abeni lifted it, feeling its power thrumming through her veins. They began their descent, moving swiftly to return the heartstone to the village. Upon their return, the village gathered in anticipation. Abeni placed the heartstone in the center of the village square, and as she did, a radiant energy spread outward, infusing the land with vitality. The crops began to revive, their green shoots pushing through the earth. The river's flow strengthened, its waters once again clear and abundant. The villagers cheered, their relief and gratitude palpable. The heartstone had restored the balance, and with it, the promise of a prosperous future. Abeni and Kofi, though weary, stood proud, knowing they had safeguarded their home once more. The forest spirit's gift had ensured the village's survival, and the bond between the land and its people was reaffirmed, strong and unbreakable. With the village thriving again, a sense of peace settled over the community. However, this tranquility was soon disrupted by a series of strange occurrences. Livestock disappeared, and eerie howls echoed through the night. Fear crept into the hearts of the villagers as rumors of a powerful beast began to spread. One evening, as the villagers gathered around the fire, an old hunter named Jabari shared his story. "I have seen the creature," he said, his voice trembling. "It is no ordinary beast. Its eyes burn with a malevolent fire, and its presence brings darkness." Abeni and Kofi listened intently, understanding the gravity of the situation. They decided to confront the beast and protect their village from its terror. They prepared themselves, gathering weapons and supplies, and set out under the cover of night. The forest was still, the air thick with tension. They moved carefully, attuned to every sound. As they ventured deeper, they found signs of the beast's presence, claw marks on trees, tufts of fur, and the remains of prey. Suddenly, a low growl pierced the silence. The beast emerged from the shadows, a massive creature with glowing eyes and fur as dark as night. It lunged at them, its movement swift and deadly. Kofi met the attack head-on, his spear striking with precision. Abeni used her knowledge of herbs and potions, throwing a vial that exploded in a burst of light, momentarily blinding the beast. They fought valiantly, each strike and counterstrike a testament to their skill and determination. The battle raged on, but the beast was relentless. It seemed to draw power from the darkness, its strength growing with each passing moment. Abeni, sensing they needed an advantage, remembered the Heartstone's energy. "Kofi, the Heartstone!" she shouted. Kofi understood immediately. He retrieved the Heartstone from his pouch, its glow piercing the darkness. Holding it aloft, he chanted a prayer to the spirits. The Heartstone's light intensified, casting a radiant glow over the clearing. The beast recoiled, its strength waning in the face of the Heartstone's power. Seizing the opportunity, Kofi struck a decisive blow, wounding the creature. With a final pained howl, the beast collapsed, its dark energy dissipating into the night. The villagers, having followed at a safe distance, emerged from the forest, their faces filled with awe and relief. They praised Abeni and Kofi, their heroes, for vanquishing the beast and restoring peace once more. As dawn broke, the village celebrated their victory, the Heartstone's light symbolizing hope and resilience. The bond between Abeni and Kofi, strengthened through their trials, became an inspiration to all, a reminder of the courage and unity that defined their community. The village basked in the hard-won peace, the shadow of the beast a distant memory. Abeni and Kofi, now symbols of strength and unity, continued their roles as protectors and leaders. Yet, their greatest challenge awaited them, one that would test the very fabric of their community. One morning, as the sun rose over the horizon, a strange phenomenon occurred. The sky darkened, and an ominous silence fell over the village. The elders gathered, their faces etched with concern. They had seen signs of this before, an eclipse, signaling a moment when the boundaries between the spirit world and the mortal realm blurred. Abeni and Kofi sensed the significance of the event. The Heartstone's glow dimmed, and the village seemed to hold its breath. They knew they had to act quickly to prevent any malevolent spirits from crossing into their world. The elders spoke of an ancient ritual that could protect the village during the eclipse. It required the combined strength and faith of the entire community, a ceremony invoking the ancestors and the spirits of the land. Abeni and Kofi were to lead the ritual, their bond with the spirits crucial to its success. As the eclipse began, the villagers assembled in the sacred circle beneath the ancient baobab tree. Abeni and Kofi stood at the center, their presence commanding respect and trust. They started the ritual, their voices harmonizing in a powerful chant. The air grew heavy with energy, the eclipse casting an eerie twilight over the village. The Heartstone, placed at the base of the baobab tree, began to pulsate, its light struggling against the encroaching darkness. The villagers joined in the chant, their voices rising in a chorus of unity and strength. Suddenly the ground trembled, and a chilling wind swept through the village. Dark, wraith-like figures emerged from the shadows, their forms shifting and menacing. The villagers faltered, fear gripping their hearts. Kofi raised the Heartstone high, its light piercing the darkness. "Stand firm," he shouted. "Our strength lies in our unity." Abeni's voice rang out, clear and unwavering. "Ancestors, spirits of the land, hear our plea. Protect us from this darkness." The villagers, inspired by their leaders, redoubled their efforts, their chant growing louder and more fervent. The hot stone's light intensified, pushing back the wraiths. The ground beneath the baobab tree glowed, and the spirit world began to recede. In a final, desperate surge, the wraiths lunged at the hot stone. Kofi and Abeni stood their ground, their combined strength and the power of the heartstone creating a barrier of light. The wraiths shattered against the barrier, their forms dissipating into nothingness. As the eclipse passed, the sky brightened and the village exhaled in unison. The heartstone's light returned to its steady glow, and the dark presence vanished. The villagers cheered, their spirits lifted by their triumph over the darkness. Abeni and Kofi, exhausted but resolute, looked at their community with pride. They had faced their greatest challenge and emerged victorious, their bond and the unity of their village unbroken. In the days that followed, the village flourished, the memory of their trials a testament to their resilience and courage. The heartstone remained a symbol of their connection to the spirit world, a guardian of their peace and prosperity. The tales of Abeni and Kofi's bravery were passed down through generations, a legend that inspired and united the people. The village thrived, its harmony with the land and the spirits a beacon of hope and strength. And so, under the watchful eyes of their ancestors, the village continued to prosper, its legacy of courage and unity enduring for all time.